A lady asked a question there on another video, and it's a topic I've wanted to address for a while. And she was wondering about, should you get her child baptized as a Catholic, or any kind of baptism. Okay, I'm not going to tell anyone how to live their life. What you do with your children, what your relationships are, what your friends are, what your family are, as long as it doesn't affect me, it's none of my business and I don't care. In terms of what you're baptizing your child, all I can offer is advice. Now, firstly, why do you baptize your child? Because St. John the Baptist, we are told, baptized Jesus at the river Galilee, or waters of Galilee, or someplace like that. And then Jesus baptized him. And it became a central rite within the Christian system, which came out of Second Temple Rabbinical Judaism. There probably was something similar to a baptismal rite within pagan religions, but there's no real hard proof of it. It probably didn't involve submerging a child in water or pouring water over its head. And this is the important part. The woman asked about, is there a danger of entities getting in? I don't think so. But there's actually something that's even worse in some ways. What baptism is Christian trauma-based mind control. They want the baby baptized ASAP, and in the old days they literally baptized the baby immediately. The child is taken from the safety and the comfort of the mother's womb, surrounded in the embryonic fluid, the water of the mother's womb, which is nourishing and safe and loving, and then taken to a priest. And this priest, or whatever religion it is, pours cold water over the baby's head. The baby goes into shock. Two things. One, it thinks its mother has betrayed it, and the mother has unknowingly betrayed the child by handing the child over to the cult of the Christ. So the child has a bond with the mother has been damaged. The child now thinks the mother damaged the baby in some way, at the point where the baby is, subconsciously, where the baby needs the most protection of all, the mother's milk, the mother's love, the mother's warmth. It's handed over to a man in a frock dressed like a woman, a fake woman, a transsexual, a transvestite. That's why they wear dresses in the Catholic and other churches, and also the pagans, the druids, the fake druids. It's a transsexual thing, and cross-dressing. It's just cross-dressing. So it's a fake mother with manly, rough hands that probably smell of nicotine and booze, and the vaginal juices of the housekeeper he was fingering, or the anal discharges of the altar boy he was fingering backstage in the anus. You've got to think about these things when you're putting your child up. This is what no one ever thinks about these things in clarity. Take them to the full conclusion. And you can sit there saying, I'm not the first time with this Vrag, before they cancelled his channel, very eloquently spoke on this. So I'm not the first one. But you've got to understand that what you're dealing with. So your child is suddenly placed into a state of shock, and there's a bond with the mother broken forever. And that bond is filled in by the devotion to the man who saved them from the mother. Remember, the child doesn't know who poured the water over him because it's done behind his head. And in some religions, they completely submerge the child. And this is waterboarding. This is the same waterboarding that happened in Iraq when they were torturing prisoners. It's the exact same thing. It's waterboarding. And it's shocking that you see, like some of the Eastern Orthodox churches, it's horrific what they do to the kids. The kids come out screaming. They're basically had their pagan souls butchered by this priest, by this cleric. And it's a horrific thing. It's like circumcision. It's the destruction of the human, the destruction of the pagan at some level, in order to make them dependent upon their abuser. It's like a Stockholm syndrome thing. if I do, the child for the rest of its life subconsciously believes that if they do everything the man and the manly woman dressed in a dress, the priest, does, he won't ever be subject to the horror of having freezing cold water poured over his head. Remember, the whole thing is designed to make the water as cold as possible. The font is usually metal or marble. You know, they're always cold. It's always cold. The whole thing is that. It's amazing to me how people still can't figure out how absolutely disgusting Christianity is, and how alien it is to us as a species, and how alien it is to people of we're all pagans. Even Abrahamics are pagans at the core. We've all been attacked by the same beast. This is why bring back the Lovecraft again. Yog-Sothoth is exactly the Demi Rouge, the idea of Jehovah, this demon at the center of the universe, this unknowable demon that lives off planet but controls what goes on this planet. And baptism is one of his trauma-based mind control techniques. Don't get your child baptized unless you want to be a devout Christian. And even then, it's like one of these things you shouldn't. It's like giving your night. You know, like one of the saddest things about Ireland, and one of the best things about Ireland, is that a nation of people who are named after Jewish characters in the Middle East. Now that's all has ended in the last 20 years as more and more people have named their children after Irish names. Sometimes they're Christianized versions, but a lot of times they're names of Irish gods and goddesses, and that's very common in Ireland now, particularly with girls. And that's great to see. That's wonderful to see. It's the absurdity of the world thinking that its spiritual heart belongs in the land of sand, goat, and lizard is just amazing to me. It's how I mean, I know they used the Roman Empire to perpetuate the mind virus, and it's just incredible to me that, you know, you could have the most remote parts of the world, people thinking that they're from the Middle East, their spiritual identity belongs in the Middle East, and it's because of things like baptism. Now, I'm not, you know, if you're a Christian, good luck to you. I don't care what your personal choices are, but I'm still amazed how many Irish people, and many of them are secular, who don't even believe in God, they still get their children baptized. And one of the reasons they do this is because the schools are very snobby in Ireland. It's a real snob thing, schools in Ireland. Getting your kid into this school, getting your kid into that school. And a lot of these schools are nearly all these schools are run by Catholic orders or the Catholic Church. So you have to be compliant. And so the baptism rite still goes on to get your child into a posh Catholic school, this kind of thing, and you see how that works as well. So yeah, baptism, does it bring in entities? Well, it brings in the biggest entity of them all, Jehovah. Does it the biggest demon of them all? Does it pretending to be God? Does it create entities in the child? No, but it does. It is trauma-based mind control that does disconnect the bond from. It's also part of the idea of one of the reasons pagans worship female goddesses is because, as well as male goddesses, is because the bond with the mother wasn't broken by baptism. And that's also part of that. Killing that bond with the mother is also killing the bond with the pagan female archetypes. Look after yourself and take care.